All right, internet people, this is a really good example of some of the stuff we see in the shop. A customer just brought this gun in. This is an IO Inc. Sporter 7.62 gun. As you can see, the rear trunnion has been blown out. This is caused by the receiver not being heat treated. So when you hear about IO Inc. having issues, it's true. Yes, they do have issues. I don't know if you can see IO Inc. there. Made in USA, made in America. That's not always a good thing. This receiver, as you can see on both sides, as the bolt's been coming back, it's been hitting on these rivets that hold in the rear trunnion, and that trunnion has slowly been beat back, tearing out the receiver. Another interesting thing, it looks as if this IO gun had used Romanian surplus parts. It's hard to say for sure. I'm going to throw this aside real quick. This is my favorite part about this gun. I'm going to let the hammer go forward. I don't know if you can see that, but the hammer pin, or the access pin, whatever you want to call it, has wallowed out that hole. It's egged it out, and that's from the stress of the bolt carrier coming back and pushing the hammer back and forth, and that hammer then going forward, it wore out that hole. The trigger hole, if you can see there, is also loose, and that's from bad heat treatment on the receiver. These IO Inc., and I'm not saying all of them, but most of them, the heat treatment on these receivers was not correct. And the customer said he has anywhere between 500 and 1,000 rounds to this, which is surprising that the trunnion held up, but maybe they used a surplus trunnion on this. It's hard to say. These may be surplus parts. Some of them were serialized. Another problem with the IO guns, if you look, the barrel attributes were pinned in place with roll pins versus pins, which is obviously a bad thing. They should have solid pins through there, not roll pins. But yeah, this is a great example of a gun that was not heat treated correctly and has literally turned into basically a paperweight. And at this point, it's hard to tell the customer, he may have some surplus parts here that will last forever. He may not, but, to get a new receiver, he's looking at $150 in a receiver, and he's looking at, somewhere around $400 or more to tear this old receiver off and rebuild this gun on a new receiver. And the question there is, these parts, is this a cast trunnion or not? Unknowingly, he may be putting $400 into a gun that's only going to fail at the next 20 to 500 rounds or 1,000 rounds or however many. With cast components, you don't really know how many rounds you're going to get out of it. But this is a great example of stuff that we see coming in the shop, and we feel really bad for the customer. He said he bought it from a pawn shop. Just noticed this too. If you look at the rivets on the trigger guard, they're actually angled and not seated all the way. That side looks okay, actually, but this side is not. The other funny thing is if you look at these rivets, they're like super domed, which is an indication of them kind of cutting corners, and they really should not be super domed. Like they really should have almost a flat face to, not flat, but a more squished face to them. So that's rivets that weren't done correctly. But the main thing is, y'all, that is really impressive, just how much force that hammer has on the receiver egging that out. So guys, be aware of IO Inc., be aware of certain manufacturers, but also don't let it steer you away from some U.S. manufacturers because they are getting better. This gun is older. I think he said he bought this gun in 2019, and he bought it used from pawn shop, so it may have been older than that when he got it. But just be aware, do your research, get on the forums and read. Now, not everything you're going to read is correct because we have some customers that have IO Inc. guns that have thousands of rounds to them and they've been fine, but this is a perfect example of an IO Inc. gun that was a victim of bad heat treatment or zero heat treatment, probably in this case. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Weapon Genetics. We're located in Houston, Texas. We work on a lot of AKs. We build a lot of AKs. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope this clears up some of the confusion on heat treatment. This is an awesome example of bad heat treatment, and hopefully we never see this again, but we probably will. So you guys have a great week.